the women's organizations in the Downtown Eastside who are working with the most heavily affected segment of the Downtown Eastside population, courageous, unrecognized, and absolutely essential work every day, the Aboriginal Mother Center and the Downtown Eastside Women's Center. I thank them for their work, and I thank them for being associated with this event, which event I dedicate to the memory of a woman who in this book, in chapter 4, which is about her, I call Serena. Her real name is Patricia. She died a week ago tonight at St. Paul's Hospital at the age of 34 of a probable brain abscess. Her funeral was today. And I can let you know now that if you look at this book, she's the second photograph in the book. She's not someone who needed to die that early or that young. That she has is not a question of her individual failure, but of a massive failure of our society, a massive failure of compassion, of understanding, of science, and of being people who come from the heart. I'd like to read you a little bit about her story. The chapter, which is entirely about her, is entitled, "You Wouldn't Believe My Life Story." Maté, you wouldn't believe my life story. Everything I'm saying to you is true. You think I wouldn't believe it? Serena gives me a look that's resigned and challenging at the same time. A tall native woman with long black hair, she has a perpetually world-weary expression on her thin face. Although she's also capable of sudden mirth, even in laughter, her eyes retain their sadness. Just over 30 years old, Serena has spent almost half her life down here in the Downtown Eastside, wired on drugs. What can you tell me, I think, that I haven't heard before down here? Later, after I hear her, I feel humbled. Serena doesn't readily share anything about her inner life. She comes to regular methadone appointments, and every once in a while attempts to scam me for some other narcotic prescription under the pretense of having a headache or a back pain. When I refuse, she's never argumentative. Okay, she says quietly, shrugging her shoulders. One day, 2 years ago, she appeared in my office. This is 4 years ago now. She appeared in my office asking for methadone to carry. That is, rather than having to drink in front of the pharmacist every morning, she wanted several days' doses in advance. Methadone is what we give to people as a replacement for heroin, and they have to drink it in front of the pharmacist. My grandmother died in Kelowna, she told me in a flat monotone. I have to go home for the burial. Downtown Eastside addicts often ask for methadone carries for illicit purposes, such as selling the substance or injecting it to get a bigger rush. Others go to the pharmacy, but instead of swallowing their whole dose, they hold some in their mouth and later spit it into a coffee cup. The expectorated methadone then becomes merchandise. Despite the risk of transmittable disease, buyers don't hesitate to drink a drug mixed with someone else's saliva. Pharmacists are expected to observe complete ingestion of the methadone they dispense, but the rule is often broken, so juice, as methadone is called, is always up for sale on the streets. I have to verify this before I can give you the carry, I replied to Serena. Who's your grandmother's doctor? Nonchalantly, she gave me the name. As she sat in my office and waited calmly, I dialed the physician's office in Kelowna. Mrs. B, my colleague said on a speakerphone. Oh no, it so happened she was very much alive when I saw her this morning. You heard that, I said to Serena. No flicker of movement, not the bare sign of embarrassment registered on her face. Well, she shrugged, getting up to leave. They told me she was dead. I have often been drugged by the childlike innocence of my addicted patients when they lie to me. And naive manipulation like the one Serena attempted is simply part of the game, and being caught is no more shameful than being found while playing hide and seek. But then 2 years ago, 2 years after that incident, she's back in my office for another methadone visit, and she says to me, "Is there anything you can give me for depression?" She begins. My grandmother in Kelowna died 3 months ago. I've been thinking of going away to be with her. Killing yourself? Not killing myself, just taking some pills, so that's killing yourself. I don't call it that, just going to sleep, not waking up again. Serena looks crushed and disconsolate. This time the loss of her grandmother is real. Please tell me about her, I say. She was 65. She raised me from my mother delivered me and left the hospital right away. The social worker had to phone my grandmother and tell her that if she didn't come and sign papers, I'd be put into a foster home. Throughout the entire discussion that follows, Serena's voice is grief-stricken, choked, and weepy. Her tears stop flowing only intermittently. Then she raised my daughter from a year old. Serena has a child now 14 years old, born to her when she herself was 15. Serena's mother, in her 40s and also a patient of mine, was 16 when she abandoned her newborn. She has her room with her boyfriend in the same Hastings hotel where Serena lives. Where's your daughter now? With my Aunt Gladys. I guess she's doing all right. After my grandmother died, she started getting into speed and everything like that. She raised me. She raised my brother Caleb and my sister Devona, my first cousins actually, but we grew up like brother and sisters. What kind of home did she give you? She gave me a perfect home until I left to find my mother. That's how I came down here to look for my mom. And what this poor woman calls a perfect home becomes devastatingly clear as she continues her narrative. And I won't tell you the whole sordid story, but this young woman was sexually abused from age 3 on, or age 5 on. Not only was she abused by the grandfather sexually, she had to also protect her younger cousins from abuse. So it's her job to protect the younger ones. And I asked her, did the grandmother not protect you? She said she couldn't. She was drunk all the time. And this was the perfect home. The grandmother stopped drinking when Serena's own child was born. And to Serena, this grandmother, who genuinely loved the child, but because of her own demons, her own issues, her own multi-generational crushing pain, found solace in alcohol, couldn't protect her. And this was the perfect home that this young woman grew up in.